Hi there, this is Mr. Osei, and I will introduce to you my favorite childhood book growing up. It was entitled The Old Man and the Sea, and the author is Ernest Hemingway. Why was this book one of my favorite growing up? Well, the author has a very nice way with expressing himself and his writing and the way he uses imagery to really get you into the book and make you feel as if you're a part of the action. It's really, really nicely done. And part of the reason why I love reading is it takes you places. It makes you feel as if you're a part of the setting and the environment, even when you haven't been. And great writers have a very nice way of getting you to feel like you're actually in the moment. So this book really does a great job of doing that. And it's about a fisherman, an old fisherman called Santiago, and he goes out to sea to catch a big fish called the marlin. And he's out at sea for 85 plus days, and he has very little luck. And then eventually, he catches a very giant marlin, and he aims to bring it back to shore to show everyone that he actually still has the passion of a fisherman, and even though he's old, he can still overcome his trials and tribulations and catch a fish like all his young counterparts. But there is a plot twist at the end, and I won't ruin it for you. So if you're interested to read the book and find out how the story ends, you're more than welcome to. And I would invite you to have a read of it because it's quite a good read, definitely. So just to promote reading in school, I'm going to read the opening first few paragraphs just to get you into the book and to give you a sense of how captivating the book is. So here we go. Now, my voice is a bit hoarse, so again, if I do sound a bit horsey, then I apologize, but you've been forewarned. Okay, so let's start. He was an old man who fished alone in a skiff in the Gulf Stream, and he had gone 84 days now without taking a fish. In the first 40 days, a boy had been with him. But after 40 days without a fish, the boy's parents had told him that the old man was now definitely and finally Salo, which is the worst form of unlucky. And the boy had gone, at their orders, into another boat, which caught 3 good fish for the first week. It made the boy sad to see the old man come in each day with the skiff empty, and he always went down to help him carry either the cord lines or the gaff and the harpoon. And the sail was furled around the mast. The sail was patched with flour sacks, unfurled. It looked like the flag of permanent defeat. The old man was thin and gaunt, with deep wrinkles in the back of his neck. The brown blotches of the benevolent skin cancer and the sun brings from its reflection on the tropic sea were on his cheeks. The blotches ran well down the sides of his face, and his hands had the deep creased scars from the handling of heavy fish on the cords. But none of these scars were fresh. They were as old as erosions in the fishless desert. Everything about him was old except his eyes, and they were the same color as the sea, and they were cheerful and undefeated. Santiago, the boy said to him, as he climbed the bank from where the skiff was hauled up, I could go with you again. You've made some money. The old man had taught the boy to fish, and the boy loved him. No, the old man said, you're with a lucky boat. Stay with them. But remember how you were 87 days without a fish? Then we caught a big fish once every day for 3 weeks. I remember, the old man said. I know you did not leave me because you were doubting. It was Papa that made me leave. I am a boy, and I must obey. I know, the old man said. It's quite normal. He hasn't had much faith. No, the old man said, but we have, haven't we? Yes, the boy said. Can I offer you a beer on the terrace, and then we'll walk the stuff home? Why not, the old man said, between fishermen. They sat on the terrace, and many of the fishermen made fun of the old man, and he was not angry. Others of the older fishermen looked at him and were sad, but they did not show it, and they spoke politely about the currents and the depths that they had drifted their lines at the steady and good weather and of what they had seen. The successful fishermen of that day were already in, and had butchered their marlin, and carried them laid full length across 2 planks, with 2 men staggering at each end of the plank to the fish house where they waited for the ice trucks to carry them into the market, which was in Havana. Those who had caught sharks had taken them to the shark factory on the other side of the cove, and they were hoisted on a block and tackled their lives removed and their livers removed. Their fins cut off and their hides skinned and their flesh were cut into strips for salting. When the wind was in the east, a smell came across the harbor from the shark factory, but today there was only a faint edge of the odor because the wind had backed into the north and then dropped off, and it was pleasant and sunny on the terrace. Santiago, the boy said. Yes, the old man said. He was holding his glass and thinking of many years ago. Can I go out to get sardines for you tomorrow? No, go and play baseball. I can still row the Regilio, and we'll throw the net. I would like to go. If I cannot fish with you, I would like to serve in some way. You bought me beer, the old man said. You're already a man. How old was I when I first took me in the boat? 5, and you were nearly killed when I brought the fish into the green, and you nearly tore the boat to pieces. Can you remember? I can remember. The tail slapping and banging, and the thwart breaking and the noise and the clubbing. I can remember. You throwing me into the bow where the wet coral lines were, and the feeling of the whole boat shivering, and the noise of you clubbing him like those chopping down a tree, and a sweet blood smell all over me. Can you really remember that? Or did I just tell it to you? I remember everything from when we first went together. The old man looked at him with his sunburned, confident, loving eyes. If you were my boy, I'd take you out to gamble, he said. But you are your father's and your mother's, and you're in a lucky boat. May I get the sardines? I know where I can get 4 baits, too. I have mine left from today. I put them in a salt in the box. Let me get 4 fresh ones. 1, the old man said. His hope and his confidence had never gone, but now they were freshening as when the breeze rises. 2, the boy said. 2, the old man agreed. You didn't steal them? I would, the boy said, but I bought these. Thank you, the old man said. He was too simple to wonder when he had attained humility, but he knew he had attained it, and he knew it was not disgraceful, and it was carried no loss of true pride. Tomorrow is going to be a good day with this current, he said. Where are you going? The boy asked. Far out to come in when the wind shifts. I want to be out before it's light. I'll try to get him to work far out, the boy said. If you hook something truly big, we can come to your aid. He does not like to work too far out. No, the boy said. I will see something that he cannot see, such as a bird working and get him to come out to after the dolphins. Are his eyes that bad? He is almost blind. It is strange, the old man said. He never went turtling. That is what kills his eyes. But you went turtling for 4 years off the Mosquito Coast, and your eyes are good. I am a strange old man. But are you strong enough now for a truly big fish? I think so. And there are many tricks. Let us take the stuff home, the boy said, so I can get the cast net and get it after the sardines. They picked up the gear from the boat. The old man carried the mast on the shoulder, and the boy carried the wooden boat with the coiled hard braided brown lines, the gaff and the harpoon with a shaft. The box with the baits was under the stern of the skiff, along with the club that was used to subdue the big fish when they were brought alongside. No one would steal from the old man, but it was better to take the sail and the heavy lines at home, as the dew was bad for them, and they thought he was quite sure no local people would steal from him. The old man thought the gaff and the harpoon were needless temptations to leave in the boat. They walked up the road together to the old man's shack and went in through its open door. The old man leaned the mast with its wrapped sail against the wall, and the boy put the box and the other gear beside it. The mast was nearly as long as the room of the shack. The shack was made of the tough bud shields of the royal palm, which was called guano, and in there was a bed, a table, 1 chair, and a place on the dirt floor to cook with charcoal. On the brown walls of the flattened overlapping leaves of the sturdy fibered guano, there was a picture in color of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and of the Virgin of Cobre. They were relics of his wife. Once there had been a tinted photograph of his wife on the wall, but he had taken it down because it made him too lonely to see it, and it was on a shelf in the corner under his clean shirt. What do you have to eat? The boy asked. A pot of yellow rice with fish. Do you want some? No, I will eat at home. Do you want me to take the fire? No, I will make it later on, or I might eat the rice cold even. May I take the cast net? Of course. There was no cast and nets, the boy remembered, when they had sold it, but they went through the fiction every single day. There was no pot of yellow rice and fish, and the boy knew this too. 85 is a lucky number, the old man said. How would you like to see me bring one in dressed over 1,000 pounds? I'll get the cast net and go for sardines. Will you sit in the sun in the doorway? Yes, I have yesterday's paper and I'll read the baseball. The boy did not know whether yesterday's paper was fiction too, but the old man brought it out from under the bed. Perico gave it out to me at the bodega, he explained. I'll be back when I have the sardines, and I'll keep yours and mine together on ice, and we can share them in the morning. When I come back, you can tell me about the baseball. The Yankees cannot lose, but I fear the Indians of Cleveland. Have faith in the Yankees, my son. Think of the great DiMaggio. I fear both the Tigers of Detroit and the Indians of Cleveland, but be careful, or you will even feel the Reds, or even fear the Reds of Cincinnati and the White Sox of Chicago. You study it and tell me when I come back. Do you think we should buy a terminal of the lottery with 85 tomorrow? Tomorrow's the 85th day. We can do that, the boy said. But what about the 87 of the great record? It could not happen twice. Do you think you can find an 85th? I can order one. One sheet. That's $2.50. We can borrow that from. That's easy. I can always borrow $2.50. I think perhaps I can too, but I try not to borrow. First you borrow, then you beg. Keep warm, old man, the boy said. Remember, we are in September. This month when the great fish come, the old man said. Anyone can be a fisherman in May. I go for the sardines, the boy said. When the boy came back, the old man was asleep in the chair and the sun was down. The boy took the old army blanket off the bed and spread it over the back of the chair, over the man's shoulders. They were strange shoulders, still powerful although very old, and the neck was still strong too, and the creases did not show so much when the old man was asleep and his head was fallen forward. His shirt had been patched so many times that it was like the sail, and the patches were faded to many different shades by the sun. The old man's head was very old though, and with his eyes closed there was no life in his face. The newspaper lay across his knees, and the weight of his arm held it there in the evening breeze. He was barefooted. The boy left him there, and then when he came back, the old man was still asleep. Wake up, old man, the boy said, and he put his hands on one of the old man's knees. The old man opened his eyes, and for a moment he was coming back from a long way. Then he smiled. What have you got? He asked. Supper, said the boy. We're going to have supper. I'm not very hungry. Come on and eat. You can't fish and not eat. I have, the old man said, getting up and taking the newspaper and folding it. Then he started to fold the blanket. Keep the blanket around you, the boy said. You'll not fish without eating while I'm alive. Then live in a long time and take care of yourself, the old man said. We are eating. Black beans and rice, fried bananas, and some stew. The boy had brought them into a double-decker metal container from the terrace. The 2 sets of knives and forks and spoons were in this pocket, with a paper napkin wrapped around each set. Who gave this to you? Martin, the owner. I must thank him. I thanked him already, the boy said. You don't need to thank him. I'll give him the belly meat of a big fish, the old man said. He has done this for us more than once. I think so. I must give him something more than the belly meat then. He is very thoughtful for us. He sent 2 beers. I like the beer in cans best. I know, but this is in bottles. A 2-wee beer, and I'll take back the bottles. That's very kind of you, the old man said. Should we eat? I've been asking you to, the boy told him gently. I have not wished to open the container until you were ready. I'm ready now, the old man said. I only needed time to wash. Where did you wash? The boy thought. The village water supply was 2 streets down the road. I must have water here for him, the boy thought, and a soap and a good towel. Why am I so thoughtless? I must get him another shirt and a jacket for the winter, and some sort of shoes and another blanket. Yes, the stew is excellent, the old man said. Tell me about baseball, the boy asked. In the American League, it is the Yankees, and I said. The old man said happily, they lost today. The boy told him. That means nothing. The great DiMaggio is himself again. They have other men on the team. Naturally, but he makes the difference. In the other league, between Brooklyn and Philadelphia, I must take Brooklyn. But then I think of the Dick Sizzler and those great dives in the old park. There was nothing ever like them. He hits the longest ball that I've ever seen. Do you remember when he used to come to the terrace? I wanted to take him fishing, but I was too timid to ask him. Then I asked you to ask him when you were too timid. I know. It was a great mistake. He might have come with us. Then we would have had that for all of our lives. I would like to take the great DiMaggio fishing, the old man said. They say his father was a fisherman. Maybe he was as poor as we are, and they would understand. The great Sizzler's father was never poor. He, the father, was playing in the big leagues when he was my age. When I was your age, I was before the mast on the square-rigged ship that ran to Africa, and I've seen lions on the beaches in the evening. I know, you told me. Should we talk about Africa or baseball? Baseball, I think, the boy said. Tell me about the great John McGraw, he said. Jota for Jay. He used to come to the terrace sometimes, too, in the older days, but he was rough and harsh-spoken, and difficult when he was drinking. His mind was on the horses as well as baseball. At least he carried a list of 22 horses at all times in his pocket and frequently spoke the names of horses on the telephone. He was a great manager, the boy said. My father thinks he was the greatest. Because he came here the most times, the old man said, he had continued to come here each year. Your father would think of him as the greatest manager. Who is the greatest manager? Really? Luke or Mike Gonzalez? I think they are equal, and the best fisherman is you. No, I know others that are better. Que va, the boy said. There are many good fishermen and some great ones, too, but there is only you. Thank you. You make me very happy. I hope no fish will come along so great that he will prove us wrong. There is no fish if you are still strong as you say. Okay, I may not be as strong as I think, the old man said, but I know many tricks and I have resolutions. You ought to go to bed now so that we will be fresh in the morning. We will take the things back to the terrace. Good night, then. I will wake you up in the morning. You are my alarm clock, the boy said. Age is my alarm clock, the old man said. Why do old men wake so early? Is it to have the one longer day? I don't know, the boy said. All I know is that young boys sleep late and hard. I can remember it, the old man said. I'll awaken you in time. I do not like for him to awaken me. It is as though I were inferior, I know. Sleep well, old man. The boy went out, and they had eaten with no lights on the table, and the old man took off his trousers and went to bed in the dark. He rolled his trousers up to make a pillow, putting a newspaper inside them. He rolled himself into the blanket and slept on the old newspaper that covered the springs of the bed. He was asleep in a short time. He dreamed of Africa when he was a boy, and long golden beaches and the white beaches so white they hurt your eyes, and the high capes and the great brown mountains. He lived along the coast. Now every night in his dreams he heard the surf roar and saw the native boats come riding through it. He smelled the tar and the oakum of the deck as he slept and smelled the smell of Africa that the land breeze brought at the morning. So I'll stop there. And that's about 18 minutes of recording, so I don't want to make it too long. And it's just the beginning chapter, and there's quite a few, interesting plot lines that are already developing. So you can see already that the old man is in love with fishing, and he has a protege, which is a young boy that supports him on his journeys when he goes fishing. So it's a very interesting read, and I would really advise you to pick up the book, either in a bookstore or maybe through Amazon, and if you can get a Kindle, then maybe use a Kindle. So happy reading, and hope you enjoy my introduction to The Old Man and the Sea. Thanks for listening. Bye.